Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Nation newspaper. The major story here: Nigeria to export petroleum products by December, says NNPCL. Nigeria to export petroleum products by December, says NNPCL. On the rider there, PH refineries begin operations next month. Food cost pushes inflation rate to 34.19%. Allocation freeze. State set timetables for council elections. And another story here: how illegal miners fuel insecurity by Abbas, CDS. And Kano court stops Bayero for others from acting as monarchs. Federal government shares 740 truckloads of rice to states. Federal Executive Council directs quick action on CNG vehicles. Those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nation newspaper. To the salient times now. Dangote refinery resolves crude supply issues to roll out petrol in August. NNPC no longer owns 20% stake in Dangote refinery, Dangote reveals. At the downstrip, fix our road, Ogun community begs Governor Abiodun. And at the top corner there, 7 years after Lagos resumes monthly sanitation, cancelled by Ambody. These are the stories you find on the front page of the Salient Times. To the Nigerian News Direct, stakeholders jittery as inflation rate hits 34.19%, 28-year high. The riders there, weak foreign reserves responsible for high inflation rate. Ayo Teriba, cost of production, unemployment, major drivers of high inflation. Former CIBN President Ajibola is saying that. And those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. To the Guardian newspaper, Nigerians at risk of food crisis as inflation hits new record. And there is an infograph of prices of food and percentage difference between March 2024 and June 2024. Food inflation rate hits 40.87% in June from May's 40.66%. And then there are those questioning if that's a true reflection of what the inflation rate really is. Another story here. Lawan disowns anti-Tinubu comment amid moves to sanction Ndume. Some stories on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. To this Nigerian newspaper now, still talking about the high cost of food prices, shooting inflation to 34.19%. And the riders there, federal government distributes 20 trucks of rice each to 36 states, federal capital territory as booster. Decline in global crude oil demand threatens economy, Nati is saying. Now, Tinubu to send minimum wage bill to National Assembly next week, silent on figure. Amewule-led Rivers Assembly bars Fubara from spending government funds without appropriation. Some stories on the front page of this Nigeria newspaper. To the front page of the New Telegraph now. Huge debts, others crippling private schools' operations. This is an investigation talking about hardship. And the riders there, 30% pupils sent home during ongoing exams over non-payment of school fees. Owners lament multiple taxes, others by government. And another story quickly here. Cashless policy falters as check usage hits 1.68 trillion naira. That story might interest you. Some stories on the front page of the New Telegraph. To the Punch newspaper now. OPS blames insecurity as food inflation hits 40.8%. That's the organized private sector is blaming insecurity as food inflation hits 40.8%. And the riders there, NBS, that's the National Bureau of Statistics, links inflation to rising prices of millet, gari, yam, fish, groundnut oil, others. Nasima, LCCI, others lament insecurity, seek rural infrastructure investments. And another story here quickly. Trump emerges Republican candidate, picks a 39-year-old as running mate. Some stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Olamide.
I begin here with the Daily Independent. The big story here says the federal government tackles hunger, gives 20 trucks of rice to each state. The FCT, the rather there says it has identified solution to food shortage, may reveal final resolution on minimum wage on Thursday. UAE lifts ban on Nigerian passport holders. Federal government moves to boost power sector investment, rolls out strategies. 13 persons killed, 1 injured in 2 Benue communities. And on the worsened food crisis, inflation pushes to 34.19%. Nigeria loses $9 billion yearly to illegal mining activities, according to reps. And on the top corner, court orders Bayero others to stop reading themselves as emirs. The major stories on the front page of Daily Independent. To the leadership, you are no longer emirs. Court tells Bayero 4 orders. Aduda Adebi in final race to replace Yemi Eson as head of service. 8 permanent secretaries fail screening. President Tinubu rejects Yemi Eson's request for tenure extension. Federal government moves supplementary budgets, that's on the minimum wage. And Nigeria can now obtain UAE visas, according to the minister. Ondo local government transition committees resume despite verdicts. These are the major stories on the front page of the leadership. So the Daily Times, court restrains Ado Bayero for orders from acting as emirs. Orders the deposed emirs to surrender all properties in their possession that belong to Kano State Emirate Council to the state government. There are indices that Nigeria's economy is doing well, Senator Sani Musa says, as the NNPCL promises again the Port Harcourt refinery begins production early August. Federal government donates 20 trucks of rice each to 36 states. On illegal mining, the federal government loses $9 billion annually, says the House Committee. Nigeria's inflation serves as food prices surge to 40.89%. We will amend House rules to receive petitions via a platform. Interesting. The major stories on the front page of the Daily Times. To the Voice of Liberty. Police ban on lawful gatherings in Kaduna, warn against illegal protests. 6 months after Nigerian poverty rate still on the rise, according to the World Bank. Our freedom gives us hope in the government effort to tackle security challenges, freed Kaduna journalists say. Northern Group backs Ndume's stance on hunger insecurity under President Tinubu's government. Sheikh Gumi appeals to Nigerians to engage in peaceful protests, says Buhari protested against Jonathan. The major stories on the front page of the Voice of Liberty. To the Blueprint. Despite Supreme Court judgment, FAC will be paid into joint account for 90 days, marking day. Rather, there says they insist we must obey our own law. Fayoshe says you cannot take away the baby from the mother. Algon calls for review of revenue sharing formula. Rising food prices fire inflation in 28 years to 34.19%. INEC shortlists 134 observer groups for Ondo polls. The federal government, 740. Federal government distributes 740 trucks of rice to 36 states. Orders delivery of CNG buses also. To the Daily News Hub. Why foreigners perpetrating illegal mining in Nigeria are untouchable, according to the military. The writer there says the Reps Committee raises alarm, says government's losing $9 billion annually to perpetrators. Whenever we arrest them, they boast of their powerful connections. Next thing, they are released to go scot-free. CDS laments. We have arrested 387 illegal miners, sponsors. Finally, UAE lifts a visa ban on Nigerians. Edo, Kogi, Cross River record highest food prices as inflation hits 34.19%. President Tinubu to take final decision on the new minimum wage. Minister says pro-Wike Rivers Assembly members block Fubara from spending. Court perpetually restrains Bayero for orders from parading as emir. JAMB cancels aptitude test for candidates on the 2024 direct entry. The major stories on the front page of Daily News Hub. To the Daily Trust, bandits kill 4, abduct 150 in Zamfara. 2 babies among abductors, some women escaped with broken limbs. National Assembly moves constitution review for INEC to conduct local government polls. Port Harcourt refinery takes delivery of 1 million barrels of crude. Travel agents excited as UAE lifts visa ban on Nigerians. Do not stage protest, clerics urge youth over hardship. And once again, the federal government donates 20 trucks of rice to each state, the FCT. Outside Nigeria, Trump emerges President Joe candidate, picks J.D. Vance as his running mate. The major stories on the front page of Daily Trust or the Platform Times. How I escaped death 10 years after incarceration. Ex-governor Escort recounts harrowing experiences. Praises Governor Abiodun for pardon. Governors, monarchs, orders intervention needed. Nigeria loses $46.16 billion to oil theft. A Mawuli-led assembly halts Fubara's government expenditures. Residents raise alarm over influx of street beggars in Kano, Kaduna. And smugglers use harmful chemicals to preserve poultry from Benin Republic. Sunday Igboho issues a fresh eviction notice to armed Fulani headsmen in Oyo State. And the court set August 2nd for judgment in Offa Bank robbery case. The major stories on the front page of the Platform Times. And finally on the Sporting Life, Omotayo releases Olympic apparent. Aruna seeded for 14th Olympic draws. Osimhen injured. PSG will not pay Osimhen's 230 billion naira. On FIFA ranking, Super Eagles to drop again as Rodri deserves a Ballon d'Or, Luis de la Fuente. That's a feature story there. Lazio offered 25 million euros, 50% resale for Greenwood. Tottenham prepare 120 million bid for Eze and NATO. The major stories on the front page of the Sporting Life. Veronica.
Right, and I believe that our viewers have been updated. Any of the stories of your choice, you can pick any of the papers to get more details.